Just confirming we are okay to go live. If you can bear with us for about 10 to 15 seconds, and then you are good to go.
Great press conference there, Jennifer.
You rocked it.
Oh, we rocked
Now I'm
it.
worried about my behavior in McGregor Arena.
Yeah, it was one of those great jobs that I had as a rink rat, and then summer employment there. It was great, actually. Yeah, it's great.
Good morning. Just
builds
confirming
character.
we are streaming live now.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Councillor Jennifer McKelvey. I am Chair of Scarborough Community Council. The clerk has confirmed that we have quorum, so I'd like to now call meeting 22 to order. Welcome, everyone. This meeting is being held using the city's WebEx technology with members of council participating by video conference. City staff are also connecting to the meeting by video conference. As City Hall remains closed, the public continues to participate electronically, and you can watch the meeting streaming live on YouTube at youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. Because we are meeting remotely, we ask for your patience with any delays, long pauses, and technical issues. We currently have people registered to speak who have been connected to the meeting by audio. The list of speakers can be viewed online by visiting the Scarborough Community Council page at toronto.ca/council and clicking the speakers box for today's meeting. Members, this is a paperless meeting. The city clerk has provided all agenda materials via CMP, the clerk's meeting portal, including any confidential materials. Clerk's IT staff will be available remotely to help participants with your devices. I would like to remind staff to keep their mics muted with their videos turned off unless they need to answer questions or speak to the committee. This will make it easier for me as chair to view those members as they vote. As part of each agenda item, I will ask members to raise their hand or unmute their mic if they wish to question staff or speak. I will create a speakers list and will call on members when their turn is up to speak. When voting on an item or a motion, I ask that members ensure they turn on their video and raise their hand to indicate their vote. To ensure I see all members, again, we ask that you keep your videos on. I want to remind you, you must still submit and approve your motions by email. Staff are available at scc@toronto.ca to help with your motions. Although we are in different locations in meeting remotely today, the Community Council would like to acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Are there any declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? If you have an interest, please raise your hand or unmute your mic and indicate the number and the nature of the interest. Councillor Ainsley.
Sorry, I had a twitch.
Oh, okay. So seeing no conflicts of interest, we will move on to confirmation of the minutes from our last meeting on January 6, 2021. Motion to adopt. Councillor Ainsley. All those in favor? All those opposed? That carries. We will now do the run through of agenda items. Item SC 22.1, final report 1050 Military Trails Zoning Amendment Application Ward 25 Statutory Planning Act. This is in my ward. I will hold it as we also have deputants. SC 22.2, Refusal Report 2872, 2880, and 2882 Kingston Road Zoning Amendment Application Ward 20. Councillor Crawford, I will hold that in your name as there is one deputant. SC 22.3, intention to designate under Part 4, Section 29 of the Ontario Heritage Act, 3315 Midland Avenue. Councillor Lai, I will hold that as in your name as there is one deputant. Preliminary report 3355, 3357, 3365 Kingston Road, and 34 Annis Road. Official plan amendment and zoning amendment applications. Councillor Crawford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a motion to expand the notification area. If we could put that up. It really just expands it to a geographic area between Markham Road, Windy Ridge, Eglinton Avenue, and Lake Ontario to the south. So just amending that.
Okay. Are there any questions from the committee on the item? Anyone wishing to speak? All those in favor of Councillor Crawford's amendment? All those opposed? That the amendment carries. All those in favor of the item? All those opposed? That item carries. Thank you, Councillor Crawford. The next amendment, Councillor Lai.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to move staff recommendation, please.
Okay. Any questions of the item? Anyone to speak? All those in favor? All those opposed? Item carries. Thank you, Councillor Lai. Item SC 22.6, request for directions, 1900 Eglinton Avenue East, official plan amendment application, Ward 21. Councillor Thompson.
Madam Chair, I'd like to hold that item, please. And
Okay.
the next.
Okay, so Councillor Thompson is holding SC 22.6, SC 22.7, and SC 22.8. That brings us to SC 22.9, stop control Willamere Drive at various locations, Ward 20. Councillor Crawford.
Staff recommendations, please.
Any questions of the item? Anyone speak to the item? All those in favor of the item? Item carries. All-way stop control, Lockheed Avenue and Donalda Crescent and Ward 22. Welcome, Councillor Mantis, to Scarborough Community Council. This is in your ward. Would you like to hold the item?
I would like to, thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move staff recommendation.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions on this item? Anyone to speak to the item? All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. Thank you, Councillor Mantis. Item SC 22.11, parking amendments, Falaise Road between Kingston Road and Rhoda Boulevard, Ward 24. Councillor Ainsley.
Madam Speaker, on number 11 and 12, I did notify the clerk there is a registered speaker, Mr. Scott Harrison, who unfortunately, due to a scheduling conflict, can't speak on either item. So I would like to move the recommendations on number 11. Thank Mr. Harrison for all of his hard work going around the neighborhood on both number 11 and number 12, getting a vast majority of the people that live on Falaise Road to sign the petitions for the parking regulations in number 11, supporting them, and also supporting the U-turn in number 12. So I'm prepared to move forward on both of them. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Ainsley. So we'll deal with SC 22.11, parking amendments, Falaise Road between Kingston Road and Rhoda Boulevard. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. And then the next item, also moved by Councillor Ainsley, SC 22.12, U-turn prohibition, Kingston Road and Falaise, Ward 24. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item also carries. Thank you, Councillor
Thank you,
Ainsley.
everyone.
Okay, that brings us back up to the top of the agenda, SC 22.1. We do have a deputant. I just need to toggle and open up the deputant list. Our first speaker is Benjamin Hoff, Urban Strategies.
Yes, hi. My name is Benjamin Hoff. I'm a planner on this file with Strategies. And on behalf of the University of Toronto Scarborough. Thank you to council members for hearing this item. I'm just really here as a resource for any questions that may arise. And I understand that Andrea Fuzzelman from the University of Toronto Scarborough will be speaking to the item directly.
Okay, thank you. Then that brings us to our next speaker, Mr. Eric Fuzman, Chief Administrative Officer, University of Toronto Scarborough, and you have 5 minutes.
I don't believe the speaker has connected to the meeting.
Okay, we'll try the third speaker, Brent Duguid, Director of Partnerships and Legal Counsel, University of Toronto Scarborough.
Hi there, Madam Chair. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
Perfect. Andrew, Mr. Fuzman is tied up, unfortunately, in another matter. Again, we were just on the call just to act as a resource in case any questions came up with this item. We obviously support the staff recommendation for our new instructional center 2, which will add much required classroom, lecture halls, and office space to our campus. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank Andrea Rini and Christian and the rest of city staff who have worked so diligently to move this item forward in such challenging times. So my appreciation to them and all city staff for all their efforts. Because as you know, it's very difficult to work sometimes in remote locations and stuff like that. They have been really true champions in moving forward in a lot of these projects. So thank you to all of them.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for the deputants from the university? Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I want to thank Mr. Duguid and the representatives from the University of Toronto. Madam Chair, I understand the item that's in front of us, and I wanted to simply ask Mr. Duguid specifically. I know he alluded to the fact that it's been challenging for the university and so on, but I'm just wondering if we take a moment just to give us an idea as to how things are really going. I mean, you have international students, you've got a variety of different component parts of local students and so on, and you're building out a facility in a pandemic period. Just wanted to, if you could maybe just take a couple of minutes and give us an overview. And of course, I support what's actually happening here. The campus is just so beautiful. It continues to expand. So Mr. Duguid, I wonder if you could just take a couple of minutes and just give us a bit of an overview.
Thank you, Councillor. Through you, Madam Chair. It has been challenging times, obviously, for any institution to operate in this type of environment. Our students have gone, their efforts have been enormous in adjusting to online learning, which is not ideal, to be honest with you. It really is that campus environment, that campus spirit. We have adjusted as we continue to do so. And I think, we have really tried to fulfill our role as an anchor institution as well, either in operating a food bank for the community on campus throughout the summer, thanks to the efforts of Councillor McKelvey and Councillor Ainsley and others that also helped out on that initiative. We've transitioned with Scarborough Health Network to operate the testing facility, the COVID testing facility on campus. And now we're in discussions to operate a potential mass vaccination clinic on campus as well. So we're really trying to step up into that void to really help out and to really shoulder a lot of the load for our as we are a real strong part of Scarborough. So I thank you for the question. Yeah, it's difficult, but we are obviously well positioned to work through it. And then fingers crossed, as we all look forward to the summer and into the fall season, where we hopefully resemble something back to a more of a normal atmosphere for all students on campus.
So it really then stands to reason in terms of lifting the H in terms of the work that the university does and the facilities and the facilitation of buildings in terms of how they contribute to the community. This is of great value, and it really makes sense as to the reason for the application and the reason why the H should be lifted as part of the decision that we're going to undertake here on behalf of your client.
Again, through you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Councillor, for the question. Yes, that's exactly it. And we certainly look forward to that one day where we can come in again to Community Council and present to you a number of other projects we have lined up that are going to be hopefully being submitted shortly to planning staff in the next year or so, which will be, as you mentioned, it will not only really add to the campus, but it will add to facilities for our entire community. And we really look forward to hopefully in person presenting those to you one day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Duguid. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions for the deputant? Okay, any questions for staff? Anyone to speak to the item? Okay, I will just say, thank you to the University of Scarborough for coming today. This is in our ward. They've been a great partner to the local community during COVID-19. Right now, they have a testing center that's on their campus. Previous to this, they were operating a food bank. They really have stepped up to be a part of community, and they are one of our major employers. So we thank them for everything that they've done. I look forward to their new residence, which is underway right now, and then this facility as well. Thank you to them again for being a great partner. Okay, with that, if there's no additional speakers, I'm happy to move staff recommendations.
Madam Chair, I believe Andrew is now connected to the meeting.
Okay. With the acceptance of the committee, we can go back to the deputant. If Mr. Erfusman would like to give a deputation, he has 5 minutes.
I will actually just defer to Brent's comments. I apologize for being late. We were working on a medical academy that we're also trying to bring to Scarborough, and we're meeting with cabinet there. But this project is really important. Will provide some exciting new classrooms and opportunities for us to provide services that we haven't been able to with some of our older infrastructure. And I did hear Deputy Duguid's comments, and just the thought that he actually captured much of what I was going to speak to. So thank you very much for that, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you for joining us. Okay, we'll move back. I think we were ready to call the vote, seeing no other speakers. So all those in favor of staff recommendations? All those opposed? That item carries. Thank you. That brings us to SC 22.2. However, I know that we are having difficulty connecting the deputant. Is she on the line?
I don't believe the speaker for item 2 has connected.
Okay, with the indulgence of the committee, we'll move to SC 22.3 to give the clerks in IT a little bit more time to connect the deputant. SC 22.3, intention to designate under Part 4, Section 29 of the Ontario Heritage Act, 3315 Midland Avenue. We have one speaker, Jane McFarlane. Is she on the line?
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Thank you. You have 5 minutes.
Great. Thanks so much. Jane McFarlane. I'm a planner with Weston Consulting, the planning firm that's representing the owner of 3315 Midland Avenue. We've had a chance to discuss the matter of the intention to designate on this property with staff and with the councillor's office previously. It's our current understanding that there is to be a revised motion put forward this morning to defer this item for a period of 1 month to the next Community Council meeting of April 23rd, 2021. I wish to note before the committee this morning that we support this deferral. As my office has stated in previous deferral requests, that we've generously asked for more time in order to sort out 2 primary matters with this intention to designate, one being the factual errors that have come about with the intention to designate in the staff report, and the other matter being our intention to submit development applications on this site that keeps the house in situ. At this time, we are very close to submitting development applications. We've relayed that to staff and to the councillor's office, and we hope to get that in the next couple of weeks at the most. And we're very close to finalizing and sorting out the heritage facts and issues with staff. And we hope to have those finalized within the next month. So with those comments, I'd like to just state on record that if a revised motion is put forward this morning, we would support that. And I'll leave my comments there and available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the deputant? Councillor Lai.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I would be putting forward a deferral motion again. This item has been deferred quite a number of times, and I think I just wanted to ask the deputant, as the planner on the file, that you have some assurance for me to I won't say guarantee, but that the application would be ready before the next meeting, because this is going to be the last time I'm going to be deferring this motion. It's taking quite some time now.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Lai. Through you, Madam Chair, to answer that, yes, I'm quite aware my office has asked for 4 previous deferral requests. We really thank the Community Council for indulgence in those previous requests. I will do everything in my power to submit this application. You know, I want to give 100% assurance that we can get it in, and that would be my intention if I could make this all happen. I'm sure everyone understands that development applications are not just on the hands of one planner. However, I do understand that if for some reason we cannot get this application in, there will be no more indulgences, no more deferrals, and no more consideration of this matter. And that's completely 100% clear to me. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. My next question is that there is a daycare center currently on the site. Has there been any discussion about relocating this daycare center?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. The property owners are in discussion with the daycare operator and current plans for that site. At this point, the owners are trying to sort out a lease or an arrangement in very close proximity to relocate that current operation in a very close vicinity to the subject property.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any additional questions for the deputant? Any questions of city staff? Councillor Lai?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to ask staff, I wanted to know if staff is in agreement of this referral, this deferral motion. Can you please comment on that, staff, please?
Through the chair, thank you. I hope you can hear me. I'm Joe Muller, Program Manager for Heritage Planning, including Scarborough, for the city. And yes, we are in agreement with your proposed deferral for a month in light of having received some recent information from the applicant regarding the heritage, and we're already requesting a meeting early next week in order to essentially compare our information and clarify the statement of significance for the property, as well as any minor amendments to the staff report. Thank you.
Thank you. My next question is, my understanding that there are 2 issues related to this heritage designation to review. One is a technical matter raised by the applicant, and 2 is the designation of the entire property as a heritage site. And on the second matter, can you explain the process a little bit?
Through the chair, thank you. Yes. So when the city is designating a property under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act, the Act specifies that the designation applies to property, real property, and any buildings and structures thereon. So as is the case where we do throughout the city, we designate the entire parcel of the property and identify the specific heritage attributes or cultural heritage values of the features on the property, including the building and landscape. And then when a development application comes in on properties like this, we make our recommendations in our staff report to the Toronto Preservation Board, and recognize any alterations to the property that affect these reasons for designation. And then as the staff report works its way through the Community Council, in conjunction with the planning report, the heritage attributes are amended in the bylaw, and the property boundaries are amended too, so that with the new development that's on the property, that doesn't come under requiring any further heritage permits, because it doesn't involve the heritage attributes. And so we have some comparable examples like 21 Old Kingston Road that's proceeding now in Scarborough, but also with all of our downtown properties, lots of hundreds of condo units going in. We don't want to have to do a heritage permit for every time someone redoes their kitchen. So we are quite able to separate the original, the heritage property that remains from the new development.
So in other words, this issue can be addressed?
Absolutely. Through
About
the chair.
the
Yes.
whole site not being affected by the development. Okay, you just mentioned something about the recent, some heritage designation in Scarborough. And has there been any development applications other than this one for the heritage site? As far as someone can answer that question.
Yeah, so there is one currently on, I believe it's site plan for 21 Old Kingston Road. And in addition, actually going through to the Toronto Preservation Board next month for 2635 Kingston Road, redevelopment of the Scarborough Mission Cardinal Newman site. It's not residential, but it's another case where the entire property is being designated, but portions of that including heritage attributes are being removed as part of the redevelopment. So it's a fairly standard process for us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Those are my questions of staff.
Great, thank you, Councillor Lai. Any additional questions of staff? Councillor Thompson? Sorry, Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Thank you very much. I'm just curious. So the first deferral was in 2018. Is that correct on this item?
Through the chair, I understand the date on the staff report predates my arrival here, which is 2017. So I'd presume that was about the time of the first deferral.
Right. And so it's 2021 now. Just curious. And again, I've heard through the questioning from the local councillor. What's the real issue?
Through the chair, I think it's a matter of there isn't still a formal redevelopment application on the property, and it's not unusual where deferrals will be requested to accommodate negotiation on the refinement of the development proposal on property. So this is a case where I think that was the argument used requesting deferral. So the deferrals were requested by the proponent on the project.
So how did the...
So we were doing that to accommodate them, basically.
Fair enough. So how did the effort as part of either listing and designation, and so how did this come about, since there isn't a real and an actual application on the site at this point?
There was, through the chair again, there was talk of a redevelopment being proposed, so that raises some interest with the Scarborough Preservation Panel, Heritage Panel. So they nominated it for designation, and so we're responding to their interest in that.
Oh, I see. So they are being, what I say, proactive, and so they sort of went ahead without necessarily having an application on the site itself. So it creates, could I use the term confusion a bit for an applicant and or a developer on the site, because it sort of precedes the idea as to what a specific plan would be for the site? Is that part of the confusion?
I think through the chair, I'd hesitate to call it confusion. I'm trying to.
Okay, well, I'm trying to understand that. I'm
Sure.
confused, so I'm trying to understand. Please help me.
Okay, so the property was listed on the Heritage Register. So listing means that it's included on the register, but not designated.
Yes, I appreciate that.
And so when there was prospect of redevelopment on the property, if rumored, as it might be, or not informal interest rather than a formal application, the Preservation Panel expressed an interest in ensuring that the property was conserved, not in its entirety, but some elements of the property would be conserved. Okay. And the best way to manage that is through a formal Part 4 designation. The listing is fairly vague, it just expresses a general interest in the property. By designating it, there's a heritage evaluation of what the actual heritage attributes are. And so we're better able to essentially enter into negotiation with redevelopment projects by saying, here are the important things, this we can let go of. So here's how we can accommodate your redevelopment plan and retain the more significant portions of heritage property.
So would I then be correct to say that it's then extremely important for the local councillors' involvement and engagement as part of this process to be able to bring all parties together in the interest of the community and so on? So the leadership of the local councillor will be extremely important. Could I be so bold as to say that?
Through the chair, absolutely. Thank you. And we have benefited from work with Councillor Lai. So we're grateful for that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you. Any additional questions of staff? Anyone to speak to the item? I know Councillor Lai, you have a motion. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, can clerk please put my motion on the screen? And the motion is that consideration of the item be deferred until the April 23rd, 21 meeting. Just wanted to quickly thank staff on working on this. I know especially heritage staff and planning staff, and you've worked, this file has been around since my arrival on council 2018, and we've been meeting a few times with the applicant, and I really appreciate all your indulgence on this one. And I'm actually I'm losing a little patience on this one as well. But you know, due to there was a maternity leave, and then COVID hits, and there are some, you know, these are some of the reasons why the plan has not been, the application has not been filed forward. So this is going to be my last time. I will defer this, and hopefully we'll get an application in. And I really thank staff, and I really hope that the applicant and the staff can work together, and with my office, so we can kind of make it an application on, you know, before April 23rd. And I just really wanted to address the other issue about the daycare center on the site. And I hope that there's been some discussion about relocation of this center. I'm hoping that they will try to find a place to replace this center and assisting them in relocating. And having said that, I hope I can count on my colleagues' support to support this deferral motion. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councillor Lai, are there any questions of Councillor Lai on her motion to defer? Or anyone wanting to speak to the deferral? Okay, we'll then vote on deferral. All those in favor? All those opposed? The deferral carries. Thank you. We'll now go back up to SC 22.2. I have been informed that Deputant is now on the line. So this is item Refusal Report 2872, 2880, and 2882 Kingston Road Zoning Amendment in Ward 20. The Deputant is Janice Robinson. Janice, you're on the line. You have 5 minutes.
Hi, yes. Can everybody hear me now?
I can hear you.
Great, thank you. Thanks for sending that valid access code. I'm Janice Robinson of Goldberg Group, representing the owners. We've reviewed the report. We actually have come a long way in resolving issues with staff, such as regarding the rear laneway, traffic, parking, and the Kingston Road streetscape. This is not the outcome we wanted, and we will continue to work with staff. On the matter of shadowing, which staff identify as an issue, there are some shadows on the neighborhood, but just on one lot and just on the side yard of the lot. I also want to indicate that the difference between the shadows from a building meeting the angular plane and the proposed building is negligible. So we think that the shadow issues can be addressed. With respect to sanitary sewer capacity, we understand that this is an issue for our project and for other projects in the area. We submitted a proposal that would expand capacity of the sewer in the pipe between the site and the pumping station, and currently have another engineer peer reviewing it at this time. We have not got the comments from the city on that solution. We are confident that a solution will be found to address this matter. Those are my comments. I'll be pleased to answer any questions you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for your patience connecting. Are there any questions for the Deputant? Okay, seeing none, are there any questions for staff?
I have one question. Yeah, just to staff, with regard to, I'm looking at the recommendations number 3A. It says that this is with regard to the, 3C, with regard to the rural sanitary pumping station. So it says that upgrades of the sanitary pumping station have been constructed to solve the existing pumping station capacity, that you need a finding of an environmental assessment. So can you, I'm just curious, is an environmental assessment required to sort of deal with the pumping issues at Rural Station? or is this something that can be worked around? I'm just curious what that means by, are we forced into, not forced, but are we put in a position, or the developer applicants, that we have to wait for an EA before we can resolve this issue?
Madam Chair, it's Paul Zuliani on behalf of City Planning. I think this question should be directed to Salim Khan, the manager of the engineering group. Perhaps he could address the question.
Thank you, Paul. Through you, Madam Chair, it is Salim Khan, Manager of Development Engineering in Scarborough. So I will try to speak to it. Actually, this is basically something related to Toronto Water as well, who are the asset owners. So the issue in this area is that this pumping station does not have capacity to resolve any issues or to support any further developments. EA is required to find a solution not only for the pumping station, but the other major problem is that of the force main, which takes water from the pumps or the pumping station all the way to the trunk. So this EA is two-phase. One is how to upgrade the pumping station, and pumping station cannot be upgraded until there is a solution found for the force main. So that complicates a little bit of problem there, and Toronto Water is working on it to expedite this start of the EA as soon as possible. But I don't have a timeline. I need to speak with them, and I can get back to you after I get some more information from Toronto Water.
So what you're saying is that an EA does have to be done, and Toronto Water are in the process of looking at that. Again, have the applicants, and it sounds as if this is not just an issue with this particular development, but others in the area. Were they made aware? This file has been going on for about 3 years. So were these applicants aware of this during the process, that an environmental assessment would have to take place?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yes, in all our comments, I think we have been flagging out to all the applicants that there is a constraint in the pumping station, and pumping station upgrades are required. So maybe in some of our memos to the applicants, we might not have mentioned EA specifically, but we have mentioned the constraints in the pumping station.
So if these concerns, again, I'm trying to get a sense of when the city was aware of this, and it sounds as if it's an issue that needs to be dealt with. Would we have not done an EA a number of years ago? Even though the applicants were aware of that, I'm just curious, number one, has this environmental assessment started? It sounds as if it should have been started because we've been aware of the issue in the community. I'm just curious on the timing of this. Have we started this EA actually, or is this something that still has to happen? Reason I'm asking this is because this could add on another 2 years to this particular application, which would be a concern for me. I just want to get a sense of the timing of this EA.
Through you, Madam Chair, EA has not been started yet. And that is the question I have already asked Toronto Water to advise us that when it will happen and in which year it is part of the capital plan. I unfortunately don't have an answer right now when it's going to start. And yes, Toronto Water has been working to find out other solutions in the interim circumstances, but they need a little bit more time to figure it out what can be done in the interim phases. Okay. Because it is not a small upgrade that can be fixed easily. It triggers a capital work program to run those, to figure out these issues and resolve them.
Okay, and it gets back to my last question to Mr. Zuliani then. So as the deputy mentioned, that they have provided a proposal to deal with the sanitary sewer capacity. You're in the process of, I assume, well, she said they've sent it in, so I assume you're reviewing this to see whether or not this would this resolve the issue? It sounds as if based on the questions from engineering, that the only way to resolve this is to do an EA first. I just want to get a clarification from you on how we move forward. Last question.
Madam Chair, it's Paul Zuliani here. As we've indicated in our report, we are recommending refusal of the application based on its current form, but we are also recommending that we continue to work with the applicant. So if the applicant does submit additional information, I do not believe we have received that information yet, but if they do submit some information, we will circulate it and continue reviewing the application, and if it results in favorable changes, then we will report back.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for self-regulating that. That was the last question. Much appreciated. Any additional questions of staff? Anyone speak to the item? Councillor Crawford.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I will be supporting the recommendations coming from staff. And I wouldn't say reluctantly, but there have been some challenges with this particular file. When we go through a planning process, we all know that it can be a long process. There's a lot of balance back and forth with between the developers, city staff, and of course the community. And I get that. Sometimes, things can run smoothly. Other times we can have a few hiccups. And that's just, again, part of the planning process. We all understand and get that. Again, this file has this development application has been going on for about 3 years. And it's been a long time. We're working, trying to figure out a resolution. I do think we can come to a resolution on this. And there's two components. The one component is really the density, the size, and we talked about shadowing and the 45-degree angle. I think there's an opportunity to come to figure something out. What it will mean probably is bringing the density down. We may have to reduce it by a floor, but I think there's a willingness and opportunity to do that, and I think we'll be able to move forward on that. The bigger concern, of course, is this issue around the sanitary pumping station and how we move forward on that. That is a little more challenging. The reason I was asking these questions about the environmental assessment is it sounds as if, again, I'll have to get more clarity, but it sounds as if we now need to do an environmental assessment, which is probably the responsibility of us and the Toronto Water. That can add another 2 years onto trying to fix this issue and problem in the community. And the bottom line, we got to fix this because we can't have development if we don't have the proper capacity at this particular pumping station. But the challenge I have had over the last little while is, when did we, the city, the developer, know about this issue or challenge? And why did we wait until, again, I wouldn't say the latter part of this process, but really looking at, I looked at this and we should have known about this, I'm assuming, a number of years ago. If there was a capacity issue, let's go out there, and if it's our responsibility, let's do it. If it's born on development, fine, we need to do this. But I think some of the frustration in the applicant side is they just want to move on and try to, either get this done or just sort of move on to their opportunity to appeal, whatever they want to do. But it really came down to this environmental assessment that is a bit of a challenge, and the timing of this. I don't know whether or not their proposal will actually be a fix for them, or they're going to have to now sit and wait for another 2 years. We can figure out everything else, but it's really sitting down and looking at that challenge with the pumping station. I'm hoping, number one, we can resolve those issues to the where what I want to have is a positive report from of course staff to come that meets the needs and the concerns of the community, because all the other concerns that the community have, of course, size, density, transportation, all of that are still there. That's the easy part of this. The other side is, how do we manage and deal with this pumping station problem in a reasonable amount of time to ensure the developer, the people who have, put the money on the line to put this development in, can get a better sense of what the timing is. And that's a bit of my frustration in this whole process. Again, I'm hoping that we can get this resolved and get it back to council in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else speak to the item? Councillor Crawford has moved staff recommendations. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. That brings us to our last three items: SC 22.6, 22.7, and 22.8. Councillor Thompson, I believe you have a motion.
I do, Madam Chair, but I wanted to just ask you, I don't know whether or not there's anyone from the community representing the applicants on these three items here to speak to these items, and if so, we could let them speak, and then I would like to ask that we do go in camera. I do have a few questions that would be appropriate for in camera.
So the list that was provided at the start of the meeting had no deputants. I'll double check now
Okay.
with clerks that none have registered
Sure.
since then.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional deputants that have registered?
We have not received any additional deputants at this time.
Fantastic. Then I move that we go into camera, Madam Chair.
Great. Can we pull that up onto the screen? Okay, Councillor Thompson, would you like to move your motion here?
Sure, Madam Chair, that the Scarborough Community Council recess its public session to meet in closed session to consider items SC 22.6, request for direction report, 1900 Eglinton Avenue East, official plan amendment application, SC 22.7, request for direction report, 1920 to 1940 Eglinton Avenue East, 8080 to 900 Warden Avenue, and 20 to 50 Ashtonby Road, official plan amendment application, SC 22.8, request for direction, 2200 to 2206 Eglinton Avenue East, 1020 to 1030 Birchmont Road, and 75 Thermos Road, official plan amendment application, as they relate to receiving advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of Councillor Thompson's motion? Okay, seeing none opposed, we'll now move into camera. I will let the city clerk walk us through that process.
Thank you. We would like to ask all city staff who are not required for the closed meeting session to please disconnect from the meeting. And if we can just bear with us a moment or two, Madam Chair, the clerk's office, we will confirm once the attendees list is the closed session attendee list, and we will advise when we have moved into closed session.
terms of the overall intent. But in terms of the issues and the recommendations as they were structured, one of the recommendations in all three of the reports talks about addressing the preliminary issues that are fundamental to the coordination between and among the landowners. And that's the position that the city has taken at the last case management conferences in terms of trying to ensure that those fundamental concerns are addressed, whether that's addressed through discussions with the applicants or whether it's addressed through mediation at the larger CMC that's taking place on May 19th with regard to the Golden Mile Secondary Plan, or if that's not possible in certain cases, whether a motion would have to be brought to have a site-specific hearing deferred until after those matters are dealt with comprehensively through an adjudicative process through the Golden Mile Secondary Plan. So that was the intention of that recommendation in the three reports that talks about the preliminary issues being identified.
Okay, that's very helpful. Now, we've looked at and it's not part of this three, but the choice development at Victoria Park in Eglinton, and we've gone through a series of processes in terms of discussions around things like Section 37, the number of affordable housing unit, and so on. I wanted to find out, with respect to these three developments, are we taking the same sort of approach and tack that we use there with respect to choice? Because obviously we have not concluded an agreement with choice, and it seems to be confounded on an ongoing basis. So from a legal standpoint, we are saying we will continue to have the discussion as part of recommendation 2, but we're looking at they're taking us to LPAT. Is that correct? Because they're saying that we have not responded in a timely fashion?
So the original preliminary reports spoke about when the site-specific matters would go forward, and it indicated that the site-specific OPAs would go forward either concurrently with the Golden Mile Secondary Plan or following the adoption of the Golden Mile Secondary Plan by City Council. So that happened, the adoption of the Golden Mile Secondary Plan happened at the end of October. And now that that's been adopted, these site specifics are coming forward for those specific issues to be addressed. It's fair to say there is ongoing discussion with the landowners and the appellants within the Golden Mile Secondary Plan area, but we have to address what's on the record in terms of seeking instructions and trying to identify those issues. For the SC 22.7, I think it has been set for February of 2022. It's set for February 21st, 2022, and we've been directed to provide our issues list by the end of March. So on that specific matter, we do need that direction from council to be able to provide those issues lists. And as I say, those issues lists will contain those preliminary issues that we think need to be addressed in some way in advance of the hearing to make sure that it's a coordinated effort. Likewise, for 2200 Eglinton, a hearing date has been set for later in 2022, for April 18th, 2022. And in that case, issues lists are also due not at the end of March, but at the end of July. Because at that point, the CMC date for the Golden Mile Secondary Plan was known, and it was set out to be May 19th. So if anything arises at that May 19th case management conference for the larger Golden Mile Secondary Plan area, we can also incorporate some of those issues into that issues list.
And can you just give me an overview as connectivity issue, right? In terms you talk about, for example, the streets and servicing and parks and so on. Because it's it's a very large area. Just wondering, how are we approaching this process in terms of discussion, negotiation with them? And I understand the individual component part, but I think that there's a collective approach. And I realize us being the city, we have a more comprehensive view of it. But is that comprehensive view sort of being realized by the individual landowners themselves?
So the individual landowners, the majority of them have the same transportation consultant. So, and transportation is one of the key issues that we're looking to ensure that's addressed, so we can make a determination on some of these densities that are being requested. And the path forward in that is that we've had individual meetings with all of these appellants, and we've communicated the same message, that we'll be asking for a sensitivity analysis to be done from a transportation perspective, and that's to ensure that the transportation and the density testing that we've asked for would be appropriate, and it's not the density that they're asking for on the record matters, right. but it's just so we understand what the appropriate transportation requirements are in order to achieve certain densities. And so that from a transportation perspective, from a servicing perspective, there is a distinction between some of the matters that are further west versus further east in terms of the servicing that's available. But again,
Hi, Madam Chair. Just confirming that we are live again. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 3 items remaining on the agenda. We'll now go back to. So SC 22.6, request for directions report, 1900 Eglinton Avenue official plan amendment application, Ward 21. Are there any questions on this item? Anyone to speak to the item? Councillor Thompson?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I want to thank the staff for bringing these reports forward. I will just speak once and essentially cover all 3 of the items because they're quite similar in nature and it concerns the specific geographical area of the Golden Mile, the iconic area in Scarborough that is slated for future development and development that is being encouraged and enhanced as a result of the crosstown development that's taking place. Madam Chair, as you know, there's been a tremendous amount of invaluable work that has taken place with respect to the secondary plan study that was undertaken in this area, which took a couple of years, and the participation of landowners and so on. And of course, Council has approved that plan, and we're moving forward. There are many landowners that are involved, and certainly there's a need to optimize the opportunity on specific sites, and at the same time, there's a need to create that balance and connectivity that is required, and that is part of the process that the city is working on to ensure that a lot of the issues that and concerns that we have are addressed in context with respect to how that works for the varying landowners and so on. We have a long distance to go before we're able to have all of the different sites with their respective approvals and so on. I'm encouraged by the fact that at least conversations are taking place, but of course we know that development process are never easy, and there are elements that are required to be addressed in terms of moving forward. I'm really encouraged with respect to some of the information that's coming forward by the landowners and so on. I'm also encouraged by the diligent effort of our planning staff and our legal team and so on in terms of tracking and ensuring that the best outcome for the community is realized, and at the same time that the best outcome in speaking with some of the landowners, that their objectives are met and so on. So we're not there quite yet. These 3 specific items effectively are attempting to do the same things, although as it relates to the different sites, but there's a connectivity that's required throughout this entire area of the Golden Mile, as I mentioned, it being the iconic area in Scarborough. This is where many of the munitions and ammunition was made for the World War II and the famous bomb girls, and the development that's taking place in the former city of Scarborough has identified this area as an area where lots of big box and shops are there, where they're there now. But what we're looking forward to is the future of transformation and change that will come, where we will have mixed use, residential and commercial, and all of the great things that we desire for this particular area and so on. So this effort is actually coming together, and it may need the engagement of a third party, which is part of the LPAT process that staff is asking for, and clearly I'm amenable to supporting the recommendations that are here with respect to these 3 items, and I'm hopeful that as we also authorize ongoing discussions and communications with the relevant landowners and so on, it would be great for us to be able to arrive at some accommodation where we're in agreement in terms of moving forward. But if not, of course, we will go the full route in terms of responding to the appeal that has been initiated by the landowners and so on. So I'm hopeful that we can come to an agreement at some point soon, so that we can see shovels in the ground and see development taking place, creating the jobs, community benefits to be realized, where young people in our community could be employed, creating opportunity and hope for them, and to see the rise of the Golden Mile, which is an iconic area in my community, and that of Councillor Crawford is the councillor to the south. And clearly, this is an area where so many of us in Scarborough as young kids retreated to the Golden Mile. We have an affinity to this, and this is an area that was the Golden Mile was opened by the Queen in the 50s, and it is the iconic area of Scarborough. We want to see that continue. So we're hoping that parties can see their way to concluding this in an appropriate way. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Deputy Mayor Thompson is moving the three as a package. Before we proceed with that, I just want to confirm nobody else has questions or would like to speak to these items. Okay, we can then call the vote on them. All those in favor?
Madam Chair, just a point of order.
Yes.
Are we allowed to move them as a package, or do we have to do them individually?
I confirm that we could, as long as there was no motions amending them. It's similar to the consent
Okay,
agenda
fair
at
enough.
the beginning.
I'm happy to hear that. Just wanted to confirm.
No, and
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Carly, you'll stop me if I can't, right?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, so given that there's no motions on those items, we can accept them similar to the consent agenda. So all those in favor? All those opposed? The items carry. I believe, and again, I will confirm with clerk that do we have any additional items or confirmatory bills?
We simply have the confirmatory bills and bylaws to do.
Okay, can we proceed with those?
Certainly, they will be on the screen in a moment.
That the Scarborough Community Council pass and declare as bylaws bills 118 to 123 prepared for February 26, 2021, meeting 22 of the Community Council. Councillor Mantis, would you like to move these?
Certainly, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? All opposed? That carries. Do you have any additional, or is that the only one? Oh, it's coming up. That Scarborough Community Council pass and declare as a bylaw confirmatory bill to confirm the legislative proceedings of the Scarborough Community Council acting under delegated authority at meeting 22 on February 26, 2021. Likewise, Councillor Mantis, would you like to move this?
Certainly.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? That item carries. And is that a wrap?
That confirms your agenda items.
Okay, thank you so very much, everybody. Happy Friday. Enjoy the sunshine.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Stay safe and well, everybody.
Bye.